there is a new movie coming out, and it has a stellar cast. This movie is called Conclave. This movie is supposed to come out October 25th. Now, spoiler alerts. I'm going to give you a bunch of spoilers because this was a book that was adapted into a movie. The book is by Robert Harris. Now, Robert Harris, terrific author. Okay, I've read a bunch of Robert Harris's books. He wrote a series of books on, I believe it was Cicero. He wrote a book on the Dreyfus Affair. I like a lot of his books. He's a really, really good writer. And so I picked this book up thinking this will be fascinating. The basic plot of the book is about a pope dies, and now there is a papal conclave in which they have to select the new pope. And so it's a lot of politicking, and it's a lot of figuring out who should be the pope, and it's about the struggles of the person who's kind of running the process spiritually during the time. And I'm reading through it, and I'm like, okay. And then it goes pretty sideways pretty quickly. This is, in fact, a propaganda piece about the evils of the Catholic Church in the guise of a movie that is supposedly about the wonders of the Catholic Church. Okay, so here's some of the preview. The cast, by the way, is Ralph Fiennes as Cardinal Lawrence, Stanley Tucci as Cardinal Bellini, Isabella Rossellini, John Lithgow, Sergio Castellitto. I mean, this is a huge cast. This is a prestige production. Okay, here's a bit of the preview.
The Pope is dead.
The throne is vacant.
Yes, you can see a nice production value.
They say a heart attack.
You know how rumor spreads, and 1.25 billion souls watching.
Well, Cardinal Lawrence.
It seems the responsibility for the conclave falls upon you.
Okay, so it's beautifully produced, obviously.
This is duty I never thought.
These are some of my favorite actors. I mean, really like an international coterie of stars.
And they must be shielded from all news that
So,
may influence their
the question is, why exactly is this movie getting, like, what merits this? Now, again, Robert Harris, good author. What's this movie actually about? This movie is actually about how the traditional Catholic Church is evil and how the church needs to become a progressive bastion. That's what this movie is actually about. So here are all the spoilers. Okay, so again, if you wish to read the book or see the movie, here's where you should tune out. Otherwise, here's what's coming in this movie, and I'm just warning you. So Catholics all over the world should be extraordinarily pissed at this movie. They should be. If you are a Christian believer, if you're a person who just believes in traditional religion, you should be upset at the hijacking of one of the great institutions of world religion on behalf of progressive causes. So the basic plot goes something like this. Cardinal Lawrence, who is the person, they changed his name actually, the person who's played by Ralph Fiennes. In this movie, they renamed him for the movie. His name's Cardinal Lawrence, not that in the book. He is the person who's chosen to preside over this papal conclave. There are several candidates who are seen as sort of the leaders for who ought to be the next pope. There's Cardinal Bellini, who's sort of more liberal-leaning Pope Francis type. And then you have Cardinal Tremblay, who is supposed to be a very politically savvy Machiavellian figure who's lobbying for the papacy. You can't really tell whether he is liberal or whether he's more conservative. You have Cardinal Tedesco, who is homegrown Italian, but also happens to be, he's the baddie. Tedesco's the baddie because he wants actual Latin Mass. He wants a restoration of more traditional church values. He doesn't want the progressive church values that are being promoted by Cardinal Bellini, who's played by Stanley Tucci in the movie. And then you have Cardinal Adeyemi, who is a cardinal from Africa, and he's possibly the first black pope. So as you might imagine, because this is a film and a book about the manipulations of what leads to the papacy, if you're going to draw a plot about that, that means that some of the candidates are going to have to be hit with scandal. And so it's not a particular shock when you find out that one of the cardinals has had some sort of sex scandal in his past, and when you find out that another one of the cardinals has been involved in simony, and none of that is a super shock. Okay, the big shock, and this is the reason why I'm just telling you what the sucker punch is going to be. You might be thinking it's time to make more of your savings tax sheltered and inflation sheltered. This is where I trust the good people at Birch Gold Group to help you the way they help me. Birch Gold will assist you in converting an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold. And the best news is you're not going to pay a penny out of pocket. Just text the word Ben to 989898. Get a free info kit on gold. There's no obligation, just information on fortifying your savings before the crazy really hits. As the exclusive gold partner of the Daily Wire for the past 8 years, an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, and thousands of happy customers, you can trust Birch Gold too. Text Ben to the number 989898. Get your free info kit today. That's Ben to the number 989898. Ask all of your questions, and once they are answered, think about investing in gold with my friends over at Birch Gold. Text Ben to the number 989898 and get your free info kit today. Again, that's Ben to the number 989898 to get started. The big shock is that at the very beginning, there's a cardinal who arrives, and this cardinal has been appointed by the Pope in absentia. Right? He didn't go through anybody. Right at the end of his life, he appointed this guy. Okay, this cardinal is named Cardinal Benitez, and he's the cardinal of Baghdad. He's been appointed from a far off, far-flung place with not a lot of Christians. Okay, and throughout the book, this person is the wisest and the most kind-hearted and the most genuine person in all of the process. And as you might imagine, come from behind victory for this person. And then comes the big twist. And this is why I'm warning you. And this entire book, and presumably the movie, is set up around the idea that those who actually like traditional Catholic values, who say, for example, that homosexual activity is a sin, which is in fact the doctrine of the Catholic Church, or who oppose abortion, which is in fact the doctrine of the Catholic Church, or who oppose marriage or terrorism, that these are in fact very, very bad things. And the sucker punch that comes at the end is that they appoint this Cardinal Benitez, who's come from nowhere, who's been appointed a cardinal in the last 5 minutes. And what does it turn out? It turns out that the reason that Cardinal Benitez was elevated in secret by the Pope is because, wait for it, Cardinal Benitez is a genetic woman. Yes, Catholics, get ready for a movie in which your new Pope is a genetic woman who was almost unmasked because it turns out that the genetic woman who had some sort of birth disorder in which the genitalia were fused, and so this person was intersex, but is genetically female, and was about to go have a vaginoplasty, surgery, to confirm the outward appearance of the genetic femaleness, actually turned that down and then is appointed Pope. And it turns out that the insiders of the church know this, that actually the cardinal in charge of the entire process finds this out after this person is approved as the new Pope, finds this out and goes ahead with it anyway. So the new Pope, Pope Innocent, is the name of the new Pope, is in fact a female, because it turns out that the Catholic Church can't move forward until the Pope is a genetic female, until it violates all of its precepts and scruples, and until it changes into basically a form of liberation theology, far left social policy gobbledygook. That's what this movie's about. So if you wonder why this movie drew such a big cast, that would be the reason why. I'm warning about the sucker punch because I think that I sort of have an obligation to the audience that if I know there's going to be a sucker punch in a movie like this, one that looks like it actually might be pro-Catholic, one that looks like it might take Catholicism seriously, it doesn't. I'm just telling you, this is not a movie that is going to take Catholicism seriously. It's going to use all the trappings of Catholicism to preach about the evils of the Catholic Church. Okay, that's what it is. So get ready for disappointment. And this is what Hollywood thinks of religion. Religion and its trappings are good only insofar as they include a bunch of ritualistic sort of mystery stuff atop liberal ideology. And again, this is not, in Hollywood, this is not limited to Catholicism at all. They'll never do this with Islam, by the way, right? The religion that is the most fundamentalist, they will never do anything like this with. But with Catholicism, they will certainly do it. There's another series that's on Netflix right now that is doing really well on Netflix because it has a couple of stars in it, has Kirsten Bell in it, and it's called Nobody Wants This, which if I am, I guess if I count as nobody, then that's true. No, I certainly did not want this. That entire series is about an agnostic woman who falls in love with a Reform rabbi, which is to say a rabbi who doesn't give a crap about his religion, obviously, because that's not the way any of this works. The entire movie is a violation of all Jewish religious practice. But that is the way that Hollywood treats religion. Religion is basically just a bunch of Democratic Party political get-togethers with some guitar and some religious trappings. And if you have an institution that actually does not agree with any of that, then that is evil. That's how Hollywood treats religion. So if you wonder, the values of Kamala Harris, who traffics with all these people and hangs out in Hollywood, that's what the higher echelons of the Democratic Party actually believe about religion. That Hollywood, the Democratic Party, in this respect, are exactly the same. Their wild disrespect for anyone of traditional religious view is despicable, and it comes out in entertainment all the time. Are you tired of the lies and the twists of the mainstream media talking points? Yeah, me too. Join me in my newest series, Fact, where I dismantle and bring truth to this tiring mainstream agenda.